Back again. Here we are, TuVues podcast. Glad to be with y'all this evening as we talk about another important topic that's important within our culture and within our communities. What's up? Glad to be with y'all again today. Let's get it cracking.
Yep, Kev G in the building, Dr. Davis in the building. Y'all know how we do it, man. We're finna do it how we always do, you know. You feel me?
Yeah. Kev G's top five.
I need to make a logo for that. Yeah, man, let's jump right to this top five, man. This is going to be an interesting one. Not really interesting in the sense of the topic, but interesting in the list we choose, all right? So today's top five, we going with the top five greatest love songs of all time. Top five greatest love songs of all time. Go for it, Doctor.
Bro, I always kick it off, man. It's your turn to kick it off, man. Kick
All
off
right, man,
your
let
list.
me jump. Okay, let me jump. So I got I know he ain't got some of these on his list because he probably won't think these are really truly love songs, but I got two honorable mentions. My first honorable mention is I Choose You by what's his name? I Choose You by the boy that just battled on Mario. I Choose You by Mario. That's the song, bro. And then my other honorable mention is Tenderoni by Bobby Brown. I love Tenderoni, boy.
Okay, I think my honorable mention's killing yours, though, but all right.
We'll see. So here we go. My number five is Jesse Powell's You. And baby,
I didn't even think about You.
That's the song. You,
I got
Jesse
another
Powell.
one I didn't think about.
No.
I'm not changing
your list, bro.
I'm just writing it down, though. I got my list. I'm not writing it down. I ain't changing it.
No changing. My number four is All My Life, Casey and JoJo.
Okay.
My number three is Back at One, Brian McKnight. My number two is Shy. And If I Ever Fall in Love Again.
That was good, but I didn't think about that one either.
But my number one, I know you don't got. You don't got this as number one. And we talking about love songs, bro.
Yeah, love songs.
When you hear this song, you can't deny it. Forever by Damage.
I don't know that one.
Forever by Damage is the greatest love song of all. That I'll be loving you.
Okay, I got you.
Forever. Hey, greatest love song ever made. Greatest love song ever made. Beat that list, bro. Beat that list.
Okay, I got you. So you threw You in there. That's one I'm thinking about. Another one, because when you said You, what came to my head, and it's not on my honorable mention list, but Crave. It's you, I crave your. Yeah. That's up there.
I forgot about Crave.
That got to be up there. But I'm gonna give you my honorable mentions. You said I only got 3 honorable mentions, so I'm gonna run them off. So one of my honorable mentions is in your top 5. I got Back at One as honorable mention. Back at One by Brian McKnight. And you know Brian McKnight, my favorite singer of all, one of my top 6 singers of all time.
Greatest singer of all time.
So I got to get that Back at One. Drill Levert, baby, hold on to me. That's my honorable mention. I got to put Drill Levert.
That's solid.
That's my number 2 of all time is Drill Levert. And then I got to go with Babyface. And every time I close my eyes. And that's honorable mention.
It's a great song. Great song.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
Know.
I'm gonna kick off my top 5 from the bottom. From the 5, I'm gonna start off with another Babyface. It's actually his group. But 2 occasions. I only think of you on 2 Now that's my number 5. Like I'm going back, bro. Going back.
Now,
so I got 2 occasions.
That's a good one, but I don't think that would have been in my top 5 though.
Oh, I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go here for my. I'm sorry. Let me change that. I messed up. That's actually my number 3. That's my number 3.
No,
I'm gonna go back to my number 5. My number 5 is because I messed up my numbers. My number 5 is Johnny Gill. My.
It's not in my top 5.
Good tonight.
Love Johnny is not in my top 5.
You sleep. So that's my 5. My 4.
5,
my 4 is Casey and JoJo All My Life. That's my 4. I got 2 occasions as my number 3. Now number 2 is Luther Vandross Here and Now. That's my number 2. Well, Luther Vandross Here. You said, and I'm gonna go. I'm old school because I'm gonna go back even further old school. Ready? My number 1, Heat Wave. Always and forever. Yep.
And you going
number 1. Number 1 love song of all time.
I'm not doubting that those are dope songs. I'm not doubting that they should be on the list. Those ain't 1 and 2, bro. Those 1 and 2.
Here and Now, Heat Wave, Always and Forever. Every day, loving
that's
your
maybe 4 or 5,
special.
bro. They may be 4 or 5. They ain't 1 and 2, bro.
Hey, 1 and 2.
Hey, when we get off this podcast, I want you to go play Forever by Damage, and you're gonna change your mind about your whole.
I'm gonna check it out. But how you ain't got Johnny Gill?
Dope song, man. But I don't think it's in the top, man. I don't think it's in top 5.
I had to come off the cuff, man, because you sprung it on me, man. So I had to put it on my list, man. But I like all time Pearson music. So I gotta pay homage to the old school.
But if I could redo mine, bro, Crave will probably be in my top 5.
Crave will probably be in my top 5. What's that on the Wood? Wasn't that on the Wood soundtrack?
I don't know. I know
it's on
Forever by Damage is on
you and Crave were both on the Wood soundtrack. I think both of them were.
And Forever by Damage was on BAPS. BAPS soundtrack.
But yeah, we Boyz II Men fans, but we ain't got no Boyz II Men songs on here.
Because we're talking about the top 5 love songs, right? They got some love songs. What can you put on there? Bending Knee, right? You can put Bending Knee on this, but I don't think that's better than what I got. You know what I mean? What else you can put? You could put no, I was gonna say 4 Seasons Loneliness, but they ain't really no love song. They got some hits, but I don't think they.
Oh, I missed one too, bro. I missed one. The Endless Love. I didn't even have Endless Love. Who is it? That's Mariah Carey and Luther, right? Or was that Private Night?
Yeah. But you pulling up those are classics, right? Nobody gonna doubt that those are classics. We talking about the best of all time. Those are classics.
No, those are the best of all time.
No,
if you're talking about classics. Going to the boo-boo room, you might as well put in some Marvin Gaye or some Shy. Well, we talking about just love songs, love ballads.
Love, man.
Them love ballads, man. Ain't nobody. I can't pick nothing from nowadays because ain't nobody singing love ballads no more.
No, that's dead. That's dead in the water.
I'm gonna say this, man. Beyonce is great. Beyonce is great, but every time I look up a top R&B love song list, I'm sorry. No, she has great music. I give it to her, but come on, y'all. Come on. I'm sorry. Some of our favorite artists of this day, some of our great R&B artists, great, they platinum albums, whatever. But when you talking about some of the greatest love songs of all time, and you really got to think about those things that put you in the mood to look in that person's eye to say, I love you. Yeah. And I think I got the list.
No, bro, your top 2 failed you, bro. Bro, they failed you, man. Those are classic, bro, but they not top. They not in the top 5, bro.
To me.
Bro, those are classics, man. We talking about songs whose instrumentals also go with the word, like it all combines together to make a love song, bro. Like that song is good. The words are solid, but the tone is like a soft whatever. But it just, I don't know. It's a classic. I don't think it's the best of all time. It's a classic.
Okay, let's go ahead and jump up for another top 5 that we was talking about off the air, man. We got the top 5 love song. Let's talk about the top 5 pieces. We fat, okay, man. Every time we do a top 5, let's got something to do with food. All right. So I'll go first. I'm gonna go. We talk about this off the air, so I'm gonna go. Emos is my number 5. I know some people don't like emos though, because they don't like the cheese. I'm gonna go emo my number. You gonna higher than 5 or
Yeah, I'm gonna higher than 5 emos.
No, check it out. I'm gonna put y'all on a piece that y'all know about unless you're from the Midwest, unless you're from Illinois, because they don't get enough credit. Butch's. Hey, man, Butch's is some of the best pizza in America, man. They don't get enough credit because it's a frozen pizza, but Butch's. Then I might have to go right now, man. I know this is going to sound kind of messed up, man. My number 3 is Domino's, man. I don't know what Domino's did to their recipe, but, man, Domino's hitting. My number 2 It's home run in, but home run in from the restaurant. And then my number 1, Giordano's. I don't care. If you put, it's a chasm between my number 1 and 2. Ain't no piece in America touching Giordano's. Period.
Oh, yes, there is.
All right, man, go, man.
Let me rock mine. So I'm gonna put your Butch's at 5, right? I agree with you. Butch's 5, bro. I mean, throw that in the oven.
Underrated, bro.
Bro,
Butch's underrated,
rocking, bro. But I'm gonna go with Emos is my 4. I'll go Emos is my 4. Then I'm gonna go with Giordano's is my 3.
Blasphemy.
Giordano's at 3.
Blasphemy.
All right, Giordano's 5, but I'm going with 3. My 2 is Domino's. Domino's does step that game up, bro.
You putting Domino's over Giordano's?
The only reason this is why I'm putting Domino's over Giordano's, because I could have put Giordano's 2, man, but I don't want to match. Like, people always match my 1 and 2 together, so I wanted to separate it. But Domino's changed the game with their crust, bro.
Yeah, it's something they doing. It's something they doing different, man. With they crust that make you like, this banging.
But my number 1 for the Chicago people, Illuminati's, man.
Illuminati's is not okay. We can fight about this. Hey, man, Illuminati's is not better than Giordano's. All right, man, you
Illuminati's better than Giordano's, bro.
Man, you lost your mind. Giordano's is the number 1 pizza in America.
I do think I'm stretching putting Domino's over Giordano's. Oh, that was a little bit of a stretch.
Yeah, you more than stretching, man.
I think
I'm stretching, bro. You out there, bro. You do a rock at the moon, bro.
Yeah, I'll flip those 2, man. But I think Lou's better than Giordano's, man.
But only thing I'm agree with you all, man, is that Domino's is doing something different. It's just
they killing Pizza Hut.
Like Pizza Hut used to be my favorite pizza out there, as well, like delivery pizza out there. Man, it ain't Pizza and Papa John's might as well close down based on what Domino's doing right now. So
yeah, they killing them right now. They can hang it up.
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Let's jump into the topic, man.
Let's do it.
You want to start off how we came up with it, or you just want me to roll through it?
Yeah, I'll jump off how we came up with it, y'all. So our topic today is we're gonna talk about something in African American community. But I say that, but this is also a historical thing that has plagued our nation and our society for a while now. But we're gonna talk about how Black is Black enough, right? This topic came across a friend of ours, our boy Stevie, was sharing some information about the things that him and his kids go through being people of mixed race, and the challenges with people identifying them a certain way because of how they look, or saying they're culturally appropriating something because they're not. They don't have darker melanin, right? And so I think it's important that we get into the history of where this comes from and why we need to look at this in depth and talk about how we can, how we need to stop generalizing or stop judging people based on the amount of melanin in their skin for our culture, because it's been ingrained in us through history. By society, and we're just perpetuating that same thought and philosophy.
Yeah, we see it all the time. Colorism is a real thing, and we ignore it. But it's an internal battle within our culture an internal battle that we don't need. We have so many other battles and things we're fighting. An internal battle on color is not something that we need as a culture. And so we just want to bring that to the light and make sure we give it justice as to why it's unnecessary and why we need to find a better route in this area. So let's start with the history, man. You the history buff. You majored in history. You love history. I do too. But you have the background in it. So let's talk about the history. Where did colorism? Where did this divide of culture or of our culture happen? How did it happen? When did it happen?
So as we talk about colorism, I want to start off, and I always start off this way because I don't want to make light of a international problem that is stronger, has probably more stronger foundation in American society. But colorism is a problem across our entire world. Even in some cultures, specifically some East Asian countries and cultures, the darker your skin is, the lower you are in the caste system, right? And so the colorism has been the color of people's skin has always been something that has been used, let me say always, but has been used throughout history to judge the importance of individuals. But as we talk about American society and the introduction of African people as slaves to the American colonies, we got to talk about how colorism played and became this ingrained thought process in America. And so the truth of the matter is that if you go to Africa, right, you see all different versions of melanin, right? You see light, dark. And so I want to make that clear that that the amount of melanin because the amount of melanin in your skin doesn't technically mean how deep your roots are in African American society. Because you have some people who do their DNA testing and realize that they're more of a European descent than they are of American descent. They can be as dark as me and you. The thing we need to understand about colorism and its growth in America is that it was used. Let's be very clear that it was used as a way of control. Right. Its initial use was a way to control. And let's be honest, the lighter the skin, the more acceptable, though none of it was acceptable, you were in the eyes of the master. Right. So some people believe in the Willie Lynch letter. Some people think it's fake. They think it was a made up letter that was written about a slave owner in the West Indies who had a conference with slave owners and told them how to control their slaves. And he was very critical. He was very direct on what to do and who to put against who. And so he said the old versus the young. But one of the main ones he used was the dark versus the light. Right. And we heard of house slaves versus field slaves, and house slaves tend to be the lighter complexion slaves and or the offspring of slaves who have been raped by their masters. And so what happened is, though you may not believe in the Willie Lynch letter at all, you may not, but the truth of the matter is this was a process put in place to control slaves. It did put the young versus the old. It did put them. They did use techniques to put the women versus the man, and it did use colorism to control slaves, right? And so the ones who worked in the house, who probably got the best food, who definitely got the best food and got the best clothing, though it wasn't great anyway, were the ones who were a brighter skin. And the darker slaves tended to be the field slaves or the hand slaves. And so that process was used as...
Can I say real quick? They were also... The ones, the light-skinned ones at the time were also the ones that were more apt to be or have access to books and education also.
Correct. And so the whole goal of this process to control slaves, because what they realized, just beating your slave and whipping your slave and humiliating your slave wasn't enough. You have to break the family structure of the people you conquered. You have to break the societal structure of the people you conquered. You have to give them something to hate. You have to give them a new religion. You have to give them a new way of life. You have to take away their language. And so they start taking away the unity of the black people regardless. And one of the ways they start doing that is divide them by skin color. And so you go throughout it. Even in Tupac's song, he says, some say the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice. I say the darker the flesh, then the deeper the roots, which people would believe that the darker my skin is, the darker my African heritage is, but that's not always true. You see a lot of evidence in Africa currently where you got people that who are very bright, who are 100% African, 100% a descent of sub-Saharan African or any type of African culture, but this was used as a process to cause a cultural divide between our people. But one thing that Willie Lynch letter says that this is how we can control our slaves for umpteen years, like this for 200 years. And I have to say, people that fake or not, whether the letter's fake or not, that methodology has worked, right? It has been, we're seeing it in our culture where we even start to determine what's good hair and bad hair. And that's another which Willie Lynch's things was the crinkly hair versus the straight hair. And so we see the divide where what's accepted even in our culture shifts based on color. For instance, Stevie was sharing some information about his daughter where she is, I'm from wrong, forgive me, Stevie, but I think she's mixed African American, white, and I think Hispanic. And wanted to have her hair braided and was told she was culturally appropriating braids, which that's a whole nother topic. But we also got to understand historically. Let's talk about colorism for a quick second, about historically how it played politically and socially. Because if you know the original, if you look at the original Constitution, what you understand, they never delete stuff out of the Constitution. If you ever see a copy of the Constitution, a true copy of the Constitution, it has lines through what was amended or taken out, right? The 3/5 compromise was an actual thing, people, where slaves were only worth in census were 3/5 of a person. But let's go all the way to Jim Crow. So let's go all the way to Jim Crow, where even if you had a speck of black blood, you were black. Even if you had a speck of black blood in your line, you couldn't vote. You couldn't come out after dark. Like you were still held to those same Jim Crow laws and the same de facto segregation, regardless if you were 99% white. If you had that 1% black, you were black. Now, we've kind of flipped it and turned it on its head and saying, you're not black enough because you don't have enough black in you. We are perpetuating the exact processes that were used to control slaves for 300 years, right? We're perpetuating that same process of not accepting people for who they are, or them acknowledging the blood that courses through their veins, regardless of what ethnicity is from. And we're not allowing them to embrace their African American heritage, right? Because they don't have enough melanin. But there was a time where this is transparent, where people of lighter melanin placed themselves above those with darker melanin and were given more privilege because of that. Right. It's a cycle that if we don't break and just start honoring people for who they are and allow people to embrace their heritage the way they see fit, I think we're going to continue to judge people and create a divide in our people that's going to create animosity that we don't need. And so it's just we just got to remember the historical context of where this colorism in our culture began.
Yeah, and I feel like we not slowly, but in doing this cultural appropriation and not in this colorism, it's causing us to actually lose our culture. So, my thing is, nothing that happened in those days is that it wasn't okay for races to mix, right? It wasn't okay. It was looked down upon. In today's society, we see it all the time. Yeah. So the mixing of races happens all the time now. But yet we still hold on to these false ideologies of the past and perpetuate this colorism thing to make other people feel less than and ourselves more than. it's okay to love your skin. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But loving your skin to the point of where you're making other people feel less than, that's the problem. Because that was done to us for years. Because of our skin color, we looked at as less. We can't do what we hated. We can't be what we hated. And that's exactly what we're doing. We're being what we're hated. So, let's talk about, you want something else to say? I want to jump to what you got on here. Go ahead.
Just real quickly, and I also want to say, and I'll say this at the end as well, and it's also okay for biracial people, and I'm talking for those, I'm talking specifically to us who are not biracial, but also biracial people as well, that it's okay for somebody who's biracial to embrace all the cultures that are within them. That's okay.
Absolutely.
Right? I think we so often expect somebody to pick a side. Right? This isn't that type of party. Right? If I want to embrace, if like, for instance, if someone is of Black and Native American culture and they want to embrace their Native American side, why not? Why can't they embrace their African American heritage and their Native American heritage?
So
I just want to make that clear.
Let me throw this at you real quick before we jump in. So what about people that say this about people of lighter skin, that say that you're Black when you want to be Black, but you're white when you want to be white, or you're Latin when you want you pick and choose what side you want to be when you want to be it. What do you say about people that think that way?
That think that way, or who actually who live that way?
So I'm talking from a side of. So if I'm talking for a side of, like, if I'm me being dark skinned and say, oh, you light skinned person, you choose to be Black when you're around me, but when you're around the white people, you act certain way. That me, like the darker skinned people, who feel that way about lighter skinned people. So I know it can go either way. I know for a fact it can go either way, where some people actually do that.
Yeah.
Right. But
and so
go ahead.
So I'll speak on both sides. I think we walk a thin line when we challenge somebody on being their authentic selves, right? In different, because all of us, Kevin, in different situations act different.
Yeah.
Right?
I agree.
Like me, I'll come to you, we'll shake up, right? We'll talk, we do our handshake, we talk a certain way. But when I'm in front of my staff, I do present differently. Right.
Yeah, you ever heard your sister talk on the phone?
Oh yeah. Oh, she know how to flip it on quick. Shout out to Bev. But what we walk a thin line when we saying somebody's not being authentic because they flip it up depending on the situation they're in. Because the truth of the matter is, we all do it. Right? People say the same key you get at home is the same key you get here. That's not true. Right? There's situations where I gotta put on my shirt and tie, and I got to present this data to my parents in my school, or to the board of education, and I have to do it in a way that's understandable and that's in people friendly language. But if I come to you, I'm like, "What up, man?" I'm not gonna speak or act that way when I'm present. So I think we walk a thin line when we start judging people in that way. On the flip side, I think those who do pick and intentionally do it, I think you have to really look inside yourself as, what is the authentic me? I think sometimes those people struggle with their identity, but I also think sometimes you got to ask yourself if you're being authentic to yourself. And I think that's the biggest problem I have with it. But I think we walk a thin line. We say, "Oh man, you only act that way when you're around them." Well, we all have a cut it on and cut it off switch for different situations, right? Me, I guarantee Obama in a political era, the way he presents, but when he talks to kids at home, it was like he's not going to be, you know what I'm saying? So I think we can't. It's up to that person to figure out if they're being authentic to themselves, right? When we start doing that, we become judgmental. And I'm not in the business of judging people, right? I'm not to thy own self be true is what the poem says, right? I want to thy own self to be true, but I think we walk man, that's a line you don't want to walk, because we all changed up at some point.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like we're so quick to judge people for decisions they make and never look at the decisions we make and how we do certain things that appropriate the same stereotypes, same situations. So I agree with you. I think it's a super thin line to judge people in this way. But and I do agree that you have to do some self reflection if you're doing that purposely, like you're doing it, like you turn it on and off just because you can, and there's benefits from being here or there. I think because like you said, at my job, my boss swear I'm an angel. Like I'm the nicest person on earth, and people that know me know that I can when I get mad about something, I can flip a switch. So we all do it, and I just feel like we got to be better at distinguishing how we relate it, how we communicate that. I feel like just say none at all, because like we talk about Stevie. Steve is like our best friend, right? And he's lighter than us, significantly lighter than us. We don't judge Stevie one bit. That's our dude, right? That's our boy. It has nothing to do with his skin color, height, nothing like that. That's our dude. So let's talk about colorism as it pertains into industry. So music, movies, things like that. Like, how does our entertainment people, how do they perpetuate this cycle? How do they make it worse for this type of thing?
Yeah, and this has been happening throughout the movie industry since its birth, right? It's been, just think about the first, whether you believe it or not, I'm gonna say it, and you can say I'm wrong, that Cleopatra was a person of dark melanin. I believe that. Science now shows that. Whether you believe it or not doesn't matter to me. Just look at the science. I mean, there's several scientists who have proven that. But you got to think about the first Cleopatra was what color? White. The second Cleopatra was a black person of very light melanin, right? And so I think sometimes you had times where the industries of music and movies and film kind of prized the African American of lighter melanin, right? There were so many roles, and I guarantee people can come on here and talk about how they may have been passed up for a role because of their dark complexion, and that in itself creates an animosity, right? When you're passed up for positions or films that you are probably the best actor or actress, because your melanin is too dark, there's a fear. Even if you look at, I know this is not a true story, but it definitely happened in the music industry. The Five Heartbeats, when they was trying to make this song, it's like, man, it'd be better if this group sung, and it was a white group, right? It'd look visibly better with this group singing it. Right, they did it with Elvis and a lot of his music and a lot of Little Richard's music. Right, it was the value of the music would grow based on the complexion of the artist, and then it got, okay, we still want African American. So the complexion of the artist, though they're still African American, they're light skin. The lead singer of this female group, it's a lighter. So whether they're the best singer of the group or not, and so you had issues with this because people had a visual perception on how to sell movies and how to sell records, and that went on and on and on when it kind of blurred our mind to where we wanted to get our hair straight. Like kinky hair was a problem, and people started using skin bleaching and things like that in order to make themselves appealing to meet what the industries were telling them to do. And so there was a time where based on your melanin would depend on what level you got in a specific industry. And the truth of the matter is, I would be lying to you if I said it's not still going on. Probably not at the mass level as that it has been, but it still goes on. It still goes on in the political arena. It still goes on in film and movies. Still goes on in music. And there's some people that still say, "Are you visibly acceptable for where we're trying to go or what we're trying to achieve?" And that created a lot of animosity in the community. And as you know, growing up, people would say, "Oh, you like the light skinned girls," or people were talked about because of the level of jealousy because of the complexion of their skin. But our movies and music perpetuated, just like they perpetuate skinny women versus plus size women. Like it perpetuate tall versus short. They perpetuated light versus dark. That was think about some of our earlier sitcoms where the dark skinned mom was replaced with a light skinned mom, or visually the person who's in the center of you look at a lot of the initial pictures or front pages of movies and music, the person on Brighter Melanin was always in the forefront or always the lead. It still goes on and now, but you can tell that was used to. They really believe this, Cap. They really believe they're doing that to increase the viewers and the market. Right? We can reach more people with this person on Brighter Melanin, and so that not only created that mindset, but it also created a divide between the African American community.
Yeah, and I don't know. This is newer person in the music industry, and I've heard her talk about why her name is what it is. But I think she's so fine. But I really hope she dropped the first part of her name because I don't think it's necessary. But you heard of light skinned Keisha, right?
Mm-hmm.
She chose that name because there was a number of light skinned people in her neighborhood, and she was a lighter of them, and so she took on the name light skinned Keisha. It's crazy that we have to identify ourselves by our skin tone like that. Mm-hmm. But see, you talk about how the movie industry and the music industry and entertainment had created this divide, and they used the color. They wanted the lighter person to be more appealing so they can reach more people. But we got to dive into whether this is okay, right? Because what this all caused is the separation divide between the light and dark community, to where we feel like this is what they're doing to make us dark skinned people look bad or not feel less than. And so what that ultimately turned us to do, and I'm saying us just as in a broad view, that turned us into having a disdain for lighter people.
Yes.
Who didn't do anything to cause that, right? It was something that was perpetuated by history and by music and in these industries to do the separation, which created us against them. So we have to talk about why we allowed it, how do we reconcile it, and how do we move forward with it? If you could speak on any of that.
So we start off by you're 100% right, and we start off by I'm gonna start off by saying that Black is beautiful. I'm gonna say
in all shades,
in all shades. Black is beautiful, and if you want to embrace your Black culture, your biracial, we should be welcoming that, right?
Absolutely.
We shouldn't say you're culturally appropriating because you got cornrows, like or you getting crochet. Like we should welcome that. Power to the people. You know what I'm saying? Every shade of Black is beautiful. Every shade of melanin is beautiful, and so. You're right though. It has created this divide to where we have this angst for, I'm going to say we because I don't, but there's this, oh, they just did this because they light skin. No, it may be possible that they got that position because they worked harder or they're more qualified. But we start using complexion to judge people and judge people's success. That's wrong. That is wrong. Now, if that is happening in the industry, we need to check that industry, right? Because there's some beautiful, beautiful. Matter of fact, every black woman is beautiful, but I can't judge your beauty based on your complexion, right? I think there's beautiful women in all shades of blackness, and I think there's beautiful men in all shades of blackness. But we have allowed society to create this internal fire or this internal stereotype, this internal angst within us to judge people based on the level of melanin in their skin, right?
Yeah, when we have internal battles where we say, "Oh, the dark-skinned dude's in now, light-skinned dude's in," we create these in our own internal battles.
But you also, I'm gonna say this because you see that in the movie industry and the music industry, especially in the late 80s and early 90s, where you see the shifts based on colorism in movies, right? And it becomes the Shamar Moore Chestnut. It comes to the Mariah Carey versus blah blah blah. Like, you see certain shifts in music and in industry, which I think personally, I personally think it allows for that stereotyping to perpetuate. And I'm not blaming the artists for anything. I'm not blaming the actors or actresses for anything. I'm blaming for a societal mindset that is saying that that's okay. Even in that song with Tupac said, even he talks about like loving for your people. But you also got to understand that your people are on a spectrum of color, right? Matter of fact, we have albinoism, right? Where people they lack a lot of melanin, right? But their roots are still African, right? They're still African American. But that's a genetic situation. But we have allowed ourselves to internalize that and turn it into a critique of people and who they are as a person, who they like, why they act a certain way, why they believe a certain thing is because they just light skinned, they just dark skinned. It becomes an excuse that we use for our own prejudices. Yeah, I said it. Yes, we as black people, we have prejudices. We use colorism to our colorism sometimes shows our prejudice.
Yeah, and I know we don't have this as a note, but I want to speak on it anyway. Now I mentioned a little bit earlier, but what's the word I'm looking for? Interracial relationships. Love doesn't have a color. Love doesn't have a color. So if somebody decides they want to have or they're going to fall in love with somebody of a different race, that should be okay. If they decide they want to have kids, if they decide they should want to have kids with somebody from another race, that should be okay. But that also should not allow us to say those kids aren't black because they're mixed with another race.
And that's what we
shouldn't allow it. Shouldn't be allowed.
Like, even think about this. The young lady who plays tennis. She's Japanese and Haitian,
Naomi Osaka.
I believe. Yeah. She decided that she wanted to play for Japan in the Olympics. She wanted to embrace her Japanese side. Her mom raised her, right? That's okay, right? We got to stop thinking that if you got any ounce of black in you, you can't. You are. Yeah, you are. It's like, I'm sorry, if a person wants to acknowledge both sides of their racial makeup, man, I love that. I love somebody being okay with who they are and all the sides of who they are. You know,
but we straddle the fences. We straddle fences, black people, man, because it's like, if you got any ounce of black and you famous, it's like, yeah, you black, you gotta be ours. But if you got any ounce, if you are mixed race and you're not, it's like, oh, you're not ours. So we straddle this fence of how we decide who is ours and who isn't ours. Instead of saying that if you got an ounce of anything, hey, back like you said, back in the old days, if you had 1% black in you was black. That's a whole today. If you got 1 ounce of black in you, you are black. That's a whole today. And we gotta stop holding on to our culture, this cultural appropriation stuff. Like we said with Eminem, even though he's not mixed race or nothing, but we hold on to, and we should, right? We should love our culture and hold on to it and embrace it. But stop using it as a scapegoat too, man. Like stop using it as a way to demean people and separate ourselves from people, but use it as an uplifting thing for us, right? And if people want to engage in it and be with us on it, we shouldn't push those people away. Definitely if they have a percentage of blackness in them, we definitely should push those people away. But anybody that's want to accept our culture and want to know about it and learn it, everybody ain't still in our culture. That's what I'm trying to say. Everybody not still in our culture.
Yeah, I do want to bring up, since you mentioned Eminem, you know, that's our favorite rapper. But I do want to bring up Eminem because even in the Eminem situation, Eminem doesn't rap without giving credit to where his music comes from.
All the time.
He not saying, I'm a rapper, I made this out, I'm the top. He said, he'll tell you this is black music. Like this is a black art form. Eminem has said that on several occasions, but we still attack him from cultural appropriation. No, he gives honor. For instance, like now let's talk about Elvis though. And I do want to mention this because people don't know this a lot about Elvis, Kev, that Elvis would tell you as well, this is black music. I got this from the gospel church. Like my style is from gospel, not rock and roll. But he didn't outwardly do that, which was a problem, right? But which was a major problem because he would still do his music knowing that it was appropriated from another artist for another thing. So, but Eminem himself will tell you, hey, this is black music.
Verse after verse giving homage.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I give honor to those who set the groundwork for me, and everybody he named when he talks about his style. What was it on Patiently Waiting when he said you take some big in the pot, you mix them up in the pot, sprinkle a little. He's talking about all these people who have helped create it, who he is, and all of them happen to be black rap artists. So I think we also gotta understand that there are some people who use black culture and give it honor, right? To give it honor. They're doing it to give it honor. But I also want to tell people who are of mixed race, it's okay if somebody say, well, first of all, don't go around asking people what they are. I think that's kind of disrespectful. But it's okay to say, it's okay. Like I'll be honest with you. I had a problem with Tucker was saying I'm not black, I'm Caucasian. I'm gonna tell you why. And there's people like, oh, you kind of back talking. No, it's okay for you to say, I'm black, I'm white, and I'm Mexican. Don't make up a new. I think when you try to make up something new, you don't do all your cultures justice, right? You're a mix up of all these cultures. Are you black? Yes. Are you white? Yes. Are you Hispanic? Yeah. Like it's okay to pay homage and honor to every piece that is made of you. That is okay. We don't have to make, but with that, on the flip side, we have to be willing to honor that about that person because that's what makes them great and make them who they is the various cultures and the various pieces that have come together to create this being. And so it's okay for you to say, look, I am of mixed race. I am black. I am white. I am Hispanic and I'm Asian. Like it's okay for you to acknowledge it, but we as a society and as a culture have to be accepting of that. If somebody say, I'm black and I'm white. No, you black. Look at your hair. That's a big one. Look at your hair. No, I'm black and I'm white.
Hair is always a big
that.
Skin color, hair is always the first thing we go to judge somebody whether they're of a particular race. And it's kind of it's an outdated thought process that we have to get over immediately as a culture and as a people.
And if we're gonna embrace all of our people, bro, we have to embrace all of our people, right? We have to embrace. We can't like start sectioning ourselves off and then come together and say, we must unify. Like, it's not how it works, right? We have to embrace our biracial brothers and sisters. They are part of our culture as well.
And we have to stop, I don't say back talking, but kind of like we want certain things from white people, right? As a black culture. We want them to treat us a certain way. We want them to be equal. Well, we can't go there. We can't march and have these protests and all that while in our own community doing exactly what we don't want them to do. Mm-hmm. Like, we can't do that. If we want change, we have to be the change that we want. Right? It makes no sense for us to say a light-skinned person who's black and white and Mexican is not black when her dad is biracial and his parent has black in them. His grandparents are black. Like,
and he may identify as black. Right.
That's ridiculous.
So why should he have to defend his blackness to you?
Because of skin color? Because they're lighter? But this is who I am. Now, we did have those Rachel Dolezals and all that came out and totally took over the culture and lied. Just flat out.
It's just lied,
right? But this ain't what we talking about, right? And that's a rarity, because who actually, and I hate to say this, but who actually that's white is going out going to say, I want to be black? Not too many people are going out and saying that. Now, just be real about it. But so she just lied to get a position or whatever she did. But we're not talking about those instances or those cases. We're talking about the people they didn't ask to be biracial. They didn't ask to be mixed race, but they are. And guess what? They have black in them. So guess what they are? They're black. And just because I'm a dark skin, I love my dark skin. I talk about this all the time. You know this. I love this chocolate. That doesn't make my chocolate any different than who they are. Like, that doesn't make me more black because I'm darker. Like, this is my culture. What's so awesome about lighter people, man, and I just got to say this, that, yeah, I can to draw my line back to Nigeria or whatever, and other places more than Nigeria, but I think it's awesome to be able to say, you know what, man, and this is me. Man, I have different cultures, man. Like, I'm Mexican. I got the Mexican side. Like, I want to research the Mexican side. I got some Native American in me. I want to research the Native American side because they was awesome. Like, and find all the most awesome things about each of my cultures, man. Like, I'm all this stuff in one body. We can't hate on it, man. It's a good thing. Like, it's not a bad thing.
And so let's talk. We, always bring the macro and micro. Well, and I'm gonna say this every time it's a chance for this. We talking about macro cultural division, but then we create a micro cultural division within our own culture. All right, we're kind of, like you said, revisiting and re-implementing some mindsets and some stereotypes that society already has for us as Black people in general. Right, they've already separated us into these categories, and now we're separating ourselves even more in other categories and creating this dissension that we don't need to have, and we can never unify until we stop using every single ounce and area to divide ourselves from young to old, to dark to light, to crinkly versus straight hair, to mothers versus fathers, men versus women. Those are all divides that were put together during the slave caste system that was developed in the early 1400s, 1500s. Those are put in place, and we are just continuing on these processes just in a different way. Just like segregation just transformed, so has the cultural division within our country and within our culture. And so we can't continue to. We have to break those cycles. We have to break those cycles and say, your Black is beautiful. I don't care what shade it is. Your Black is beautiful, and I accept it. Right? We have to accept our people for who they are. If you want to, if you have Black in you and you want to identify as Black, we family. We got to stop using that as an scapegoat of why. right? And then when it is being used in film and movies, when it is being used in society with jobs, we have to be willing to challenge it from every color on our spectrum, our melanin spectrum, right? Because we can never advance as a people if we allow others to also use that cultural divide to divide us. And that's what's happening, right? It's being used to divide us, and we're jumping on that bandwagon. We have to break every single piece of division that was discussed and that Willie lynched the other, whether you believe it's true or not, and all the things that were used to divide us as a culture and as a people in the early parts of American history. And we have to break those apart and say, hey, I accept you for who you are. I think that's going to be how we get to the next level in our culture.
And that just brings us back to a word we use almost every podcast, your heart posture, man. Like, if your heart is one that has this divide or create this divide, you need to check your heart. This is a heart check time. Time for you to check your heart. Because this hate and this separation is only at that level. It's completely at that level. We have to be able to see each person at deeper than their skin, and accept light-skinned people, accept mixed race people as us, as a part of us, whether it's 1% or 99%. We gotta accept people, man. Like, we can't push it away. If you want to wear cornrows in your hair, I'm not gonna hate on you. If it look good on you, it look good on you.
All right, do your thing.
Enjoy it. But
I do want to bring up one thing I was just thinking about, because I don't want people to get confused. When we talked about not seeing color, when we talked about what lives matter. This is different. Let me be very clear. This is different. Absolutely. When Kevin said love doesn't have a color, love doesn't see color, he's correct. Love doesn't see color. That's not what we're talking about. And I think that's what a lot of people who are against that Black Lives Matter was confused. They confused that with love, right? Yeah, you are so correct. Love does not have a color. You're right. But the truth of the matter is, I am a person of melanin. I'm a person of color, and you have to see my plight. When we talk about seeing color in that instance, we're talking about seeing my plight and what I've gone through and what I'm going through, right? And dealing with those issues. But when it comes to loving one another, there is no color. Love is universal, and we have to acknowledge that. Now, we also need to be, as a people, accepting of our people, regardless of who they are, what they are, where they come from, and the melanin in their skin, the amount of melanin in their skin. We're melanin men, regardless if I'm a mixed melanin man or I'm a dark-skinned melanin man. I'm a melanin man. I'm gonna embrace you as my brother. We need to start embracing our brothers and sisters on all parts of that color spectrum.
Stop pushing people away. Stop using it as a weapon. Stop weaponizing our melanin. Let's put it that way. And stop questioning people of their color. Like, somebody say they black and they know they black, they mixed race, and who are you to truly question their color?
Mm-hmm.
Like, who are you to question their color just because they are not the same shade as you?
Yeah.
The world is different, man.
Yeah, I'm not gonna hate on a biracial person because they want to embrace their other cultural side. To each their own. To each their own. That's a plight for them. It's a plight for them.
And our culture is dope. I want people to embrace our culture. Our culture is dope. Yeah, come see what we got going on over here. Come enjoy this.
Right, because you can't speak of one piece in our society, our nation, our history where black people wasn't involved, and that's a great feeling.
We are dope people, man. Stop pushing people away from this dopeness.
Mm-hmm. Just embrace it, y'all. Let's love one another, man. Like Kevin said, our brother Steve, man, that's been our boy forever. Right? We used to have those sock fights. We used to go out for trick or treat together. That's our brother. And if Stevie identifies himself as black, he's a black man. That's okay. If he decides himself as white, however he wants to identify himself is okay with me. We have to stop judging people by the way they identify. Like we and especially if you're religious, because the Bible says, "Judge, lest you shall be judged." So we need to stop being judgmental anyway. But we need to stop, man. Start embracing people, man. Heart posture, like Kevin said. Start embracing people for who they are and what they want to identify as, and love, whether you agree or not. Love, man. That's first and foremost.
And they say love conquers all. That ain't no just the same. That's truth.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Yeah, man, this was a good one, man. I hope people listen to it, man, and heed to these words, because if we can unite in this area, I think we can change a lot of stuff. I think we can go so advanced as a culture. We just stop separating ourselves from each other. So I hope this. I really hope this message. We have a couple messages that I want to spread like wildfire, but I hope this one of them. I hope this one is one that spreads and hits a lot of people. And people pay attention to what we're saying in this one. I think this one is important.
Society can't do it if we don't use it. I'm sorry. If we don't use it, society can't use it. If we don't start dividing ourselves, because think about it, I just want to, before we get off, Kevin, because think about it. Willie Lynch's policies or philosophies were dependent on the slave perpetuating it. Right? It was dependent on the slave. It wasn't dependent on the slave owners making sure it's happening on a daily basis. It was like getting this into a cycle to where the slave perpetuated it. We have to stop perpetuating if we want society to stop. It's that simple.
Agree. 100% agree, man. I love y'all, all skin tones. I love you.
Yeah. No matter your color, deep down, we all brothers. That's what Coolio said, right?
Good on Coolio. Rest in peace, Coolio.
Rest in peace.
All right, man. That's TuVues. Colorism ain't what we do. Enjoy your day, enjoy your week, enjoy your life. We'll be back with another good one, man.
Yeah. Love y'all, love all.
TuVues.
We out.